Senator Hunt, you're recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues and Nebraskans. I support AM 2098 because I support the ability for schools to collect some data with regard to what we're doing with punishment of these kids. In 2019, I introduced the Too Young to Suspend Act, which was really similar to the bill that we passed in 2024, basically saying that elementary school kids, actually I think what that bill said, and I'm sure my staff is in my office correcting me, but I think what that bill did, if I recall, is it actually prevented the suspension and expulsion of preschoolers and kindergartners. And we were just talking about the youngest of the young kids. And that bill, was not successful ultimately, even though I tried several times. And when I first met Senator McKinney, before he announced he was running for office, before he ran, one thing that he mentioned to me was that this was something he was really passionate about. I know that from our first conversation together, that was one of the things that he brought up. And so I mentioned this bill that I had tried. I know that he had always planned on introducing something like that. And in 2024, in this bipartisan way, with support from the whole legislature, with support from the governor, he's the one who got it done. And what I think in here all the time is how much I miss Senator Linehan. And I saw her a couple weeks ago in a committee, and I mentioned that to her, and she and I had some really sharp disagreements. I can think of one in particular where we were really at each other's throats at the time. And I remember some of these members in here, some of these Republican members thinking, it really can't get worse than this. Me thinking like, I don't know how we can do worse than these colleagues. And I think that we've all thought that about each other at some point when you're in the midst of like a disagreement or a really tense battle or something. But I would give about anything to have her in here and not only whip votes for these amendments, which she would be doing, but giving all of you a lesson about what the process was that they came to pass that bill in the first place in 2024. That's the leadership that we're really missing in this body that unfortunately you Republicans are not benefiting from, especially you new ones. I get text messages all the time from former Republican lawmakers who I served with, and I got a whole bunch today on my drive-in where one guy was telling me, what did he write? He was texting me all morning saying, save this, can you do something? And he texts me all the time, and he says today, the institution is at a new low. And I tell him, what can we do? Check the scoreboard, look at the numbers. There's nothing we can do. We can fight, we can try. And I tell him, you're the one that needs to round these people up and explain this to them. Don't text me. I'm a progressive nonpartisan. What can I do? Don't text me. I'm one person. And all of this speaks to what's so frustrating about working in this body, let alone that you don't read the amendment. You get on the mic and speak on the amendment, and you're not even talking about what it actually does. And then you're not even ashamed about that. You don't even get on and correct yourself because you know it doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, you're not just happy winning. You're not just happy winning, which you know you're going to do. You have to be cruel, too. You know you're going to win, but you're not happy unless you're mean and cruel. Not to your colleagues in this case, but to the little kids who are going to be harmed by your choice to oppose these amendments. And not just to the little kids, but to their families and parents. That's one thing that took me a long time to understand, is that a lot of the most punitive things that we do against kids in this body isn't even really about punishing the children. It's about passing a judgment on the parents that are raising them. How far should we take it? I think that it'll be 3 years until we see a bill supporting putting kids who can't read at a third grade level in third grade into foster care to be placed with Christian homeschool families. Let's see that bill come up. How far do you guys want to take it in terms of the judgment that you are putting on these parents? Senator McKinney saying he doesn't see the humanity in here. There just isn't any. There just isn't any. I have a letter that was sent to, Senator Ibaugh, Frederickson, Michaela Kavanaugh, me, and Victor Roundtree from a woman, Angela Gleason, from the Arc of Nebraska. And I wanted to read this letter on the record.
Time, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.